Welcome back to Golf Weekly. In this segment, we are talking golf instruction.
Absolutely. And what we'd like to do today, Daniel, is we'd like to go ahead and give our viewers a few tips they can use at home to go ahead and check up on themselves, make sure they've got themselves ready for the spring, and things they can go ahead and work on not only at the golf course, but they can do some of these things in their backyard or their house.
Some basic things to put in that toolbox as we get ready for the season.
To go ahead and make sure that we have all the tools we need to play some good golf. Absolutely right. So the first thing I'd like to do is make sure that before we go ahead and even talk about putting the clubs in our hands, we make sure that we're moving our body correctly. So one of the things we like to do at the Island Golf School is to make sure, and we do this with our students at the Junior Players Golf Academy too, is we like to make sure that we have our body moving correctly before we add the attachments. And I call the attachments your arms and the club. So what we're going to have you do here in just a sec is we're going to have you take this alignment rod. For most of you people that have come down from the north, you'll notice that this was probably sticking on the side of your driveway. I brought this one down myself, so I didn't take yours. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this rod, we're going to get in our setup position, which means we've got a little bounce in our legs, almost like feeling as though we could jump a little bit.
An athletic
Very
feel.
athletic,
Yeah.
okay, very athletic, okay. And we could certainly go into this much deeper, but for the time being, we're going to be kind of general. Okay, now that I'm all set, I'm going to go ahead and make my turn back. Okay, so that this rod has now gone ahead and come back behind where the ball is going to be. And then I'm going to let myself come all the way through. And as you'll see, I keep the angle of the rod very much the same on this side and coming through, which means that I'm going ahead and staying in my posture as opposed to going back and coming up. So if we can put that right across your shoulders there and get you with a little bit of an athletic stance there, a little bounce in your legs. Okay, I'm just going to hold your head here. Now if you'd turn back for me, turn back. Good. And come right through. And there we go right there. And on the way through, we're going to let you go ahead and come right to a nice tall finish, which you and I have played golf before, and I know that that's very much the way you go through the ball. But like I said, this is a great way to warm up the body to make sure we're moving correctly before we go ahead and add the fun stuff. So one more time, if you go ahead and get set for me. Be right there, make a turn back, and then go all the way through. There you go, right there.
And again, you want, instead of feel, you want to keep that posture consistent.
You want to stay right down in that original position you got into. We want to stay in our original posture. A good way to go ahead and check yourself at home is, if you'd like, rest your rear end right on the wall when you're getting ready. When you turn back, you should feel your right butt cheek push against the wall on the way through. Your left butt cheek ought to come over and hit it, and then you can stand right up. So if I may borrow this again.
Sure.
I would just go back, right butt cheek against the wall, left butt cheek comes over and hits the wall, and then I can go ahead and stand myself right up.
Butt cheek to butt cheek.
Butt cheek to butt cheek.
That's hard to forget.
Okay. Now that we know how we can go ahead and work on our body, let's make sure we're gripping the club correctly. Make sure we have the club in our hands correctly. So, first thing we need to know, for everybody at home, this part of the club right here, okay, where the face of the club meets the sole is called the leading edge. And whenever we grip the club in front of us, and I'm going to have you grip this for me if you would, we want to make sure that the leading edge, and actually I'm going to have you face the camera if you would for me, thank you. We want to make sure that the leading edge is directly up and down. So if I go ahead and stick this magnet on there, you can see it's nice and level. And this will help Daniel when he goes ahead and puts the club down to have it nice and square to his target. Okay, so by gripping the club, by having the leading edge, like I said, directly up and down as opposed to being tilted one way or the other, it'll help you have the club square when you get set to hit.
Now, you had mentioned to me offset that a lot of people, without ever knowing it, tend to have a naturally closed club face at address.
One of the other reasons I have this magnet is because a lot of people that will come to me for instruction, when they show me where they're at, we put the club down and I can show them that they've been setting up with the club very closed for obviously a long period of time if it's something they've been doing for a while. And the main reason for that for most people is because the toe is bigger than the heel, and they have the tendency to want to close it up so it's even with the front of the hosel.
Makes sense.
So it's something that's very common. I see a lot more closed club faces than open club faces. Now if you go ahead and grip it again for me. Okay. We're going to have you take and bring the club right up here for me. Straight left arm, relaxed right arm. Daniel's a right-handed player, so straight left arm, relaxed right arm. We're going to tilt the club to about 130 or 45 degrees. And I want you to do a little chopping motion for me, like you got a little hatchet in your hand. Yeah.
Get those wrists
nice. Just do that right there. Well, we're going to go ahead and do it with the little 7 dwarf club right here. And in a second, I'm going to give you a bigger club because I just want you to see the motion, and then you're going to feel the difference with a regular club. Now, what is this doing right here? Well, this position right here that Daniel is doing. Okay, when we take Daniel now, we're going to have you face that way. Or actually, we're going to have you turn around and face this way. Now, when Daniel goes ahead and swings the club up, That's the same way his hands and wrists need to be set when he swings the club. So when we go ahead now and take a regular golf club, if I may go ahead and take this now, we're going to put that in your hands, okay? We're going to bring this up here, straight left arm, relax your right. We're going to tip it to about 130 or 45 degrees, and now make some chops right there for me.
Yeah.
Really feel the weight of the club?
Weight of that club head.
There you go.
Wow, that's a great drill.
Yeah, and you can feel right here in your arm, top of your back. So if you go ahead now, stop right there with your set, and turn like that, and there you are right there. You're in your position up top.
That looks like a pretty good position.
That looks like a very good position right there.
And at that point, all you got to do is release.
Well, from that place right there, you just let your body just turn toward the target, and the club falls right down the line. But like I said at the beginning, we want to make sure that going into the spring, we're moving our body correctly. So that means having the rod right here, and this is some practice you can do in the evenings at home, making a little turn back, little turn through, coming right to your finish, and like we talked about, right cheek, left cheek against the wall. And then certainly when it comes to having the club in our hands, we want to make sure that number one, we've got the leading edge up and down when we grip it, because that'll guarantee when we put the club down, we'll be aimed darn close to where we need to be.
Yeah.
No guarantees in this game. Go ahead right up here. We tip to 130, and then we do some of these chops right here like we just had you do, because that is really where we're going to be up top to go ahead and fire it. So a great way to go ahead and make sure that, you know, going into the spring, we've got a few things we can work on. Like I said, you can do these at home. You don't need to be at the golf course to do them.
Chris, thank you so much. That's about all the time we have for this
It's a pleasure
segment.
being here. Thanks.
Yeah, well, you can obviously see why they're having so much success over there at the JPGA. Just a quick reminder, next week we will be going to new times. Monday through Friday, we can be seen at 10:30 a.m. and nightly at 8:30. Join us next week on Golf Weekly. We'll see you then.